This is the GTN show brought to you by Human, and this week we're going to be attempting to run at world record pace.
Ooh.
Yeah, you heard that
Watch
correctly. And we have yet another carbon plate running shoe to join the arms race. And honestly, after this week, we will stop talking about carbon plate run shoes.
Well, we have some other things to chat about as well. There's a new team member to the Bahrain Endurance 13 team. There's some great news for ParaTri, which I think some athletes are going to be pretty excited about. We're going to be chatting duathlon for those of you who are duathletes out there, as well as talking about a pro who's turning to gravel.
Well, to start the triathlon news, we've got some run news here because we saw a huge drop in the 5K road running world record at the Monaco Run 5K. It was Joshua Cheptegei that knocked an impressive 27 seconds off the previous world record, which stood at 13 minutes and 18 seconds, as he ran 12 minutes and 51 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, that is just massive. I can't imagine you running anything like that, but how fast 12:51 must even be?
Yeah, Heather, I think we should head outside and see just how fast that is.
Well, that equates to 2:34 per kilometre or 4:08 per mile, which is 23.3 kilometres an hour. And given that most treadmills don't go up to that speed, we have come outside for this.
Oh yeah, you've guessed it. We are going to attempt, the word attempt is quite key here, to run at world record pace. Now, I'm not sure why we've signed ourselves up for this, but you guys at least, I guess, get to see us suffer.
Yeah, so I guess the idea is just see how far we get at that pace.
Yeah, it's not going to be very far for me, as it's 15.4 seconds per 100 metres, I think.
That's fast.
I'll be happy
really
if I get 100 metres.
Yeah, well, let's go warm up and get going.
Yeah.
I want you, my life.
Are you ready, Heather? As ready as you'll ever be. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh my goodness, that is just ridiculous pace. Yeah, I think I managed about 80 metres and barely hit it, but Marc is off, so let's see how far he goes.
And he kicks. Oh, look, yo. Oh man. That's about only half a K. Oh man, felt so out of control. Had a little uphill and a downhill, and the downhill I just felt like I was flailing my arms around. But yeah, that is seriously quick for 5K. Wow.
Well, I don't think it was really any surprise that that was some pace to certainly keep. Sadly, though, it has come under a little bit of scepticism because, yeah, you guessed it, he was wearing the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent, and it turns out that actually that improvement in time was just less than a 4% improvement.
Well, actually, in the same event, it's also worth noting that quite an impressive record was broken. It's the British 5K road running record, and that was done by Nick Guustavv in a time of 13 minutes and 27 seconds to take third overall. But going back to your little Vaporfly discussion there and carbon plates, and we've been waiting for Adidas to join this arms race, and they have not disappointed, because last week they announced that on the 1st of April they will be releasing their new Adidas Adi Zero Pro limited quantity with a carbon plate, meaning that we can now tick that off from our GTN predictions for 2020.
Oh yes, well a little bit more about the shoe. Their carbon plate, they're labeling it the Carbitex, and it's actually going to sit just above the midsole foam between the sock liner. And apparently it's designed to flex up into a 30-degree angle so that it really aids that toe-off phase of the running gait without putting too much bone stress through the metatarsals. Well, they've also updated the sole. They've got the proprietary foam they're calling Light Strike, which is designed to give extra pop and, unsurprisingly, is extremely light. And they're sticking with that lightweight theme on their upper as well. They've got a new upper which they're calling Cellar Mesh.
Yeah, and then as I mentioned earlier, this is available on a limited basis from the 1st of April and then on general release around mid-May onwards. Now, the price is to be confirmed, but they're suggesting somewhere around the £150 mark, which
reasonable.
is significantly cheaper than some of the other carbon plate shoes.
Well, there's some great news for Paratriathlon, as it's just been announced that there's going to be a prize purse for the ITU Elite Paratriathlon World Cup in Florida in March. And this is actually the first time that an ITU Elite Paratri race has had a prize purse. It's going to be $60,000, which is the same as the Elite World Cup race that's going on at the same day.
Yeah, and this is thanks to USA Triathlon, who have really pushed for this financial backing for the Paratri events alongside the ITU. And well, this is a fantastic move, and I just hope that this continues forward outside of the States for future Paratri events.
Right, there were rumours at the end of last season of Kristian Blumenfeld potentially joining the world's largest professional triathlon team, Bahrain Endurance 13. It all went a little bit quiet. We did see Vicky Holland join the team, and there was still a potential slot left, and then apparently there were conversations between the Norwegian Federation and an agreement wasn't reached until now, and Kristian has officially joined the team, and no doubt that's been helped by the fact that he's won the Bahrain 70.3 Ironman 3 times. He's also broken the course and the world record over that distance too on that same race.
He's had quite an impressive season or two, yeah. And as Heather's mentioned, it's quite an impressive team he's joining. I'm actually going to attempt it here. We've got Jan Frodeno, Alistair Brownlee, Javier Gomez, Holly Lawrence, Daniela Reef, Terenzo Bizzoni, David Plessis, Vincent Louis, Ashley Gentle, Lauren Parker, Kristian Blumenfeld, Ben Canute, one more.
Terenzo? Do you say Terenzo?
Might have said Terenzo.
I don't know if you have, and I've lost.
Terenzo then.
We'll go
right,
with that.
13.
let's hope that is 13. Again, an impressive lineup and quite a mixture of athletes, and we're seeing
Vicky Holland.
Oh, yeah, we'd already mentioned her, just not on your list. But we're seeing a real spread in, from ITU athletes right up to long distance. And I think this year it's going to see potentially a lot of that team, if not all of that team, racing at 70.3 Worlds because they are so late in the season. And it's affecting athletes' calendars. So the ITU athletes can potentially do the Olympics and then retrain for that. And then the Kona athletes can also potentially do it. And it's seeing some changes. And that actually leads on to an announcement, which I'm not sure when this came out, but Holly Lawrence has said that she's going to race her first Ironman this year at St George, and if it goes well, potentially Kona as well as the 70.3 World.
Yeah, I think this year is really exciting, and St George in particular, actually, they have changed from being a 70.3 and they're going to cycle between it being a full Ironman every 3 years. So this year it's going to be the full Ironman, and then again back in 2023. So yeah, best of luck to Holly. I mean, this could be quite exciting to watch.
Yeah, we are seeing a few events sort of doing this rotation and changes, and there's actually sadly seen that the full Ironman distance at Santa Rosa has stopped. It had only been an age group race recently, but they're now sticking to, because after all the fires they had, I think back in 2017, and the logistics and the effort of the local community to put it together, they're going to just keep it at a 70.3 for now. So a shame to see that race go.
Well, moving on, and here at GTN, we're always keen to promote the benefits of cross-training for triathlon, be it for mental benefits and having a break from triathlon, or actually just to improve on some new skills or some old skills, and especially during the off-season. Well, it seemed that pro triathlete Heather Jackson has taken this one step further as she's getting stuck into some gravel racing this year.
Yeah, she's signed up to do the Belgian waffle ride. She's doing Dirty Kansas 200, which is a pretty epic race. And she's not just dipping her toe in it, because she's actually joined a gravel team, the Wahoo Frontiers. And with that, we've actually seen her race just recently in Boulder. Sadly, though, that race was cancelled due to snow, but I think she's fairly at home in the snowy conditions. We've seen her doing cross-country skiing, so she's not new to doing cross-training, and she just says that it's, gravel racing sort of gets her vibe, and it's, something that she's sort of all about, so it's quite exciting.
I could see her doing gravel racing, actually. Yeah, it seems quite a fun sport. But also, she has made it quite clear that this it's not getting in the way of her triathlon training, because she will be doing each of these events, traveling with her run gear and doing a run off the back of them.
Yeah, so I think Kona is still very much set in her sights. Let's kick racing news off with some news from Challenge. They have just announced an epic lineup for Challenge Roth, their biggest long distance event, and actually the fastest Ironman distance race in the world at the moment, with the world record times coming from there. So we are going to see, fingers crossed, none other than the full Kona podium for both the men's and the women's side. So that's going to include the likes of Jan Frodeno, Tim O'Donnell, Sebastian Keeney on the men's side, Anna Haug, Lucy Charles and Sarah Crowley on the women's side, plus the returning defending champion Andy Dright. He's going to be joined by Cam Worth, Josh Amberger on the men's side. Then there's Laura Siddle, Rachel McBride, to name but a few on the women's side as well. So it is epic, and you never know, we might even see some new world records.
That would be exciting, and also some really interesting players, people that could mix up like Josh Amberger on the swim, see what happens. But staying with Challenge, because this weekend we had one of their most iconic long distance events in Challenge Wanaka. Now this used to attract quite an impressive elite field for the full distance event, but now their attention seems to have shifted to the middle distance event, and we had Braden Curry taking the win on the men's side. He posted the fastest run split of the day over Matt Burton in second, and then fellow Kiwi Mike Phillips in third. Over on the women's side, a similar story. It was Radka Karderfeld who actually took the win overall, also with the fastest run split of the day. Second place went to Hannah Wales, and third to Meredith Kessler.
There was also Ultraman Florida over the weekend, and a very impressive performance by Didi Grausbauer. And she was in the overall lead of the whole event after the swim and the bike. And it wasn't until the double marathon, yep, you heard me right, the double marathon at the end, where she lost that lead and dropped back to second overall. It was Stephen Keller who took the overall win in a time of 21 hours, 49 minutes and 16 seconds of racing. Didi Grausbauer still finished second overall, but winning the women's race. And it was Jeff Fahar who finished third overall.
I just can't comprehend racing for that long, over 20 hours, and they were the fastest. We also this weekend had a PowerMan event, and for those that don't know what a PowerMan event is, well, it's quite an iconic long distance duathlon racing series, and this weekend they actually had the first edition of PowerMan Portugal, which I've heard from inside sources was quite a tough course. The men's race was won by Sepp Odin, and then the women's race was won by Nina Zoller. But talking of duathlon, we don't actually talk about duathlon all that much here on GTN. There aren't a ton of duathlon events out there.
No,
but
you're a fan of them, aren't
yeah,
you?
but they're no less impressive. I mean, I used to do a lot of them, particularly pre-triathlon season, and they're arguably harder than a triathlon because you're just hammering the legs for 3 disciplines, or 2 disciplines, but obviously 2 runs. So yeah, we were wondering how many of you out there take part in duathlon. Simple yes or no. You can enter that by clicking just up here.
Well, now it's time for results from last week, when I actually asked you, should triathlon bikes be banned? And oh my goodness, did that open up a can of worms. Did expect to, but the actual results for the poll, only 12% of you said yes, and that left 88% of you saying no.
But let's have fun and let's read out some of these comments, because they've got some fair points. So.
No, I hear both sides.
And to be honest, we weren't saying we should ban the bikes.
It's all right, you don't need to be my attorney, Marc, it's fine.
The triathlon coach, TTC, said, no way, this is what makes triathlon different to other sports, which is absolutely fair, and I agree with you, actually.
And a lot of people were on that one. But then we've got Roy Thuth says, just ban anything I can't afford. I think there's a lot of people on the same page as you, Ray.
We had Koin Sun Chung said, in my opinion, UCI rules in the road hinder technological improvements such as aerodynamics. I think triathlon is the only field pushing industry invest more money and efforts to have innovative designs of the bike, and eventually gives positive aspects in the entire bike industry. I totally agree with that, because I think it's really exciting. It pushes this development and innovation. It's really cool.
Yeah, we're lucky to be involved in that spot, aren't we? Then we've got Jim Hall. Pros should all be using the same bikes, or bikes with a certain spec, tyre pressure, wheels, gearing, etc. I mean, that sounds more like match racing and sailing. I mean, God,
well, it also, someone else did talk about price capping, and like in F1, there is like a price cap on how much teams can spend on.
A lot of sports
cars.
do, don't they? I mean, rugby has the same, football even. You know, we've seen. Going off on a tangent here, but also.
And I did quite like this last one from Georgi Djordjevic, said Eventum has left the chat.
Yeah, they would be a bit disappointed with if our poll was the other way around, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but don't forget to enter this week's poll. Click just up there.
All right, it's one of the favourite parts of the show for me. It's when we get to look at your photos that you guys have very kindly shared with us. And to start us off, we've got this one from Charlotte of some rather sparkly looking bikes. Both her partner and her have had their bikes resprayed.
Very cool. You've got a felt DA4 and a Factor Slick. I've got to, which one's your favourite?
Oh, I'm going to go with the felt, the sparkles.
It is cool, that colourway, but I do love the Factor bikes. It's such a nice shape, and I do like just like the simple paint finish on that.
Yeah,
it's good.
I was drawn. I'm a bit of a magpie. Too many of the colours.
Cool. Next one in from Andrew, and this is his Cubitane. It's from Derby in the UK, and he said, he basically wanted to show off actually about the desk that he's made. This is a homemade desk, and he said all from recycled wood, broken scaffold boards, and a pallet liberated from work, along with a few other bits and bobs. And you'll probably notice we've got a swim bike run stencil on the side and GTN. He said, can I get a free cap? It's a great logo at the bottom. We'll make an exception in this case. Obviously, we'd love you all to promote GTN and shout about it. But yeah, get in touch and we'll ping a cap out to you.
Yeah, we love it. The effort that's gone into that. It's brilliant. This next one's from Floris, and it is, he's got two bikes here, the Cervelo P2 and a B-Twin Triban 100 road bike.
Yeah, this is from Aston in the Netherlands. He said he's graduated recently, not financially capable of buying himself the latest and greatest gear, but this is his low-budget student setup. I'd say that's pretty good. I mean, that's
spacious, isn't it?
Better than mine.
Is that nutrition products that he has invested in? Something that's on the shelves there and all matching. But
honestly, Floris, if that's on a low budget, then you're doing
well done. Yeah,
very good.
Well, going from one end of a budget to another, I think. This from Nenad, Trek Madone and Project One from Serbia, and what an impressive pain cave is this? It looks like a nightclub kind of shop display.
It genuinely looks like the gym I've got a membership to. I mean, he's got a custom built wall, Techno Gym My Run, which is one of the treadmills we use actually. Wahoo's with setup for the ultimate torture experience.
Oh.
But yeah, that looks pretty darn cool.
Yeah,
one of my favourite, but moving on, this one is really cool. I'm not sure we've had anything like this sent in before. This is from Jason in Perth, and he is connected up to a gas mask because he's actually doing some VO2 max testing in his own home. He said he wants to keep regular track of his zones to make sure his training's in the right intensity and he's training correctly and smartly. So he does regular VO2 max testing himself.
I mean, I find it hard enough to get on my turbo when it's at home, and that's just to sort of ride along whilst watching the TV. I think I would never get on if it had a VO2 max machine next to it, but it's pretty cool if you've got that dedication.
I love the fact that he's just obviously just voluntarily opting in to do a VO2 max test all the time. But he, at 41 years old, he said he's got a VO2 max of 69.3. Very impressive.
That is, dropping that one in, like it. Well, we love your photos, a great array, a great mixture this week. So if you've got a photo that you think we'll be interested in, we definitely will. So make sure you share them with us, and you can do that by using the uploader.
But now it's time for the GTN Caption competition. And last week's photo was actually from the ITU Winter Triathlon World Champs in Asiago, or Asiago, I don't know how you say it. But what I didn't realise, totally over my head, is that is home to quite a famous cheese. So we've had a few good captions
I had no idea what some of these captions were all about until you told me this, Marc. So we have a couple of runners-up with reference to the cheese. This one from Jesse Chalutza says, whoa, wait, which way to the cheese?
And then Mr. Banana Waffles said, hey, you try skiing down a mountain of cheese and see how easy it is.
Another one from Savage Poet here. I give up. It's no use gardening in the middle of winter.
Very good. And then the winner though goes to Chris Debonair and said, how do I clip out of these things? I'm getting close to the dismount line.
Oh, that panicking feeling.
Yeah, very good. Get in touch and we'll send this out to you. But now for this week's caption comp photo, and we've had to dig through the archive a little bit here because I've gone back to the Karlovy Vary ITU or European Cup, which actually I think this is the year, a couple of years ago, that Guustavv actually won it. Quite an interesting course, lots of dive-ins each lap. I've done it myself and always get some funny dive photos. This one comes from that.
And make sure you leave your caption suggestions in the comments section below. And before you go, let us tell you about some exciting videos we've got coming up this week. Quite a selection, including a question that I'm asking with a little bit of an investigation, whether you can actually run in fashion trainers. Also some results from some wind tunnel testing that we've been up to, looking at the difference between a road bike with clip-on aero bars and a tri-bike.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the results of that actually. And if you have enjoyed today's show, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and like this video. And don't forget to subscribe to GTN if you're not doing so already, and so you'll be notified when these future videos come out. And also do check out some of our current videos. We've got 3 ways to improve your swim speed. You can see that by clicking just down here, and also how to fuel for an Ironman. And don't forget to head on over to the GTN shop to get some of our merch.